Welcome, everyone, to the premiere episode of Smokeout with Shelly and SJ. OnlyFans.com/ShellySJ Smokeout. It is a mouthful. If you want to try to say it a few times, that's okay as well. You can subscribe. You can get exclusive access to our Zoom sessions where we do the show as we're doing the show right now. You also get exclusive access to the videos of every single episode that we do. Hoping it's awesome. I hope you all like it. I'm, of course, Stoner Jesus, stonerjesus.net if you want to check out what I do. Of course, my partner in crime, as they say. We haven't got any crime yet. It's just started. Well, the night is young. Shelley Martinez, model, pro wrestler, content creator, ShellyMartinez.net joins me from the West Coast on the show. Welcome, Shelley. How are you doing tonight?
It's been a crazy day because, okay, my sister, right? She always gets these like weird things that happen to her when she's at work. So she's been so overworked at her job that she has like this ugly tendonitis in both of her wrists. So I had to take her to the doctor today. They have like a little follow-up kind of thing, which is fine. I was in the car with my dogs and I just was, editing in there. So that's fine for me. That's like, it's fine, especially because my sister is known for having some weird thing happen when she goes to work. So that was fine, whatever. And then when I took her back to work, she works at a vet. So I was able to get my dog some treatments. It's a holistic vet too. So they do like acupuncture on animals. They like do little adjustments even, you know what I mean? Like it's really crazy. Until she worked there, I had no idea that was even a thing. So and my boy dog, he's 20 years old, so he really benefits from like the acupuncture and things like that, this arthritis. So I left the dogs there and I went to the Ralphs to like stock up, make sure the house is all stocked up. And I got this new credit card, okay? So I'm like, all right, payday's on Thursday. I'm going to use the credit card. I just got it. No worries. So I go to pay and it won't go through. It won't go through. I'm like, okay, let me call my card. I just activated it. Let me see what's up. So I call them and they're like, yeah, it should be fine. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm at the store. It's not fine. And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? So then I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'll just use this other card. So I go to use the other card. And I think by this time, you get a little nervous when things like that happen. So I put a wrong card in. So then that one got declined. So I step out of line again. And I'm just like, dude, I'm just going to go to the ATM. So I go, there's an ATM downstairs. I go and get the money. I go back in line, whatever. And so that really ate up a lot of my day. And so it was just one of those things where it's like, all right. It's just one of those things where it kind of set my day off like that. And then after that, it was just like one thing after another, after another, after another. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep on trucking. I'm not going to let this make me be in a bad mood. I'm just going to work with whatever I can work with right now. And before I knew it, it was time to get ready to come hang out with you. So that's my day.
Yeah, so many times stuff starts off bad, and it just ruins the rest of your day and just derails everything, and that's a hard thing to get past and get through.
Here's the thing, I thought I was really prepared because before I went into the Ralphs, I had my little to-go stash, in the car. So I park, all responsible, I park, and before I go in there, blaze it up a little, okay, not too much, because I don't want to be all like, oh, these people are driving me crazy. Not like crazy in the sense of like it's making me mad, but like, do you ever get so medicated and then when you're around people who are like in bad moods and it's a group of them, it's almost like you're in I don't know, it's almost like an outer body experience and it's a different trip within itself. And sometimes I don't want to go there. I like that place. I like being a little scared, but I don't know. Sometimes you gotta, when you got a lot of things to do, you can't be going there. You can't be chilling in that weird zone. When I first started going to dispensaries here in LA back in the day, they'd be like, oh, you want an indica, sativa? Like, which one? I'd be like, look, whatever's your strongest. I said, here's the line. And you know how people, they like don't want to go over that line and go in that world? I want to be just above that line, just above it, a little scared, a little freaked out, but not too much.
Absolutely. And you don't want to be around buzzkills in general anyway. At least I don't, at least most of the time. 'Cause, you know, weed, especially if you, if you're someone like, you know, a friend of mine who gets on the black market, not myself, I don't engage in any illegal activities. But if you get weed on the black market, it can be expensive sometimes, and it's hit or miss, and, you know, the quality is, you know, up or down. And when you run into those people that are just like, they seem, and they're not, because they don't know you're really high and, you know, that they're pissing you off, but they seem, to, at least to you, that they're really just trying to dig away at your less anxiety, the less stress you have, that bothers them, so they want to jack all that up. And I've learned over the years that you really got to avoid those people early on. I mean, just even if you run to a
Sometimes
store
they're
or something.
unavoidable.
That's true.
Sometimes it's just unavoidable. And that's where I feel you gotta just try to not let them get to you. But sometimes if you're just like, we all have our bad days, you know what I mean?
Sure.
We all have our bad days. And it just really sucks, especially when the worst I feel is when I'm having a day and I'm struggling, but I keep on trucking through. And so I finally get to a point where I'm like, you know what? It's all right. It's all right. I did it, you know? And then all of a sudden here comes Buzzkill USA. And it's like that one, I was like, it's not okay. It's not all right. I tried, but whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely too much. So a lot of what the show is going to be for subscribers and people who are watching this a little bit later. Obviously, smoking, medicating, a nice place to come and hang out with people. You know, obviously with COVID and even before that, with the advent of the internet and FaceTiming and group chatting and Skyping and all that, smoke sessions and smoke circles have become more virtual. So that's really what we're trying to recreate here. It's a new kind of show. It's something that I've thought about, as I told Shelley before we started, for a while, and has never found someone that I thought would be a good fit on the other side of it as a co-host. Most of my shows I do solo. That's usually the way that I work, unless I'm doing some stupid voice or something for another character on the show. That's pretty much the way it's always been. But I have collaborated with some other people in the past. I do a show each Wednesday called The High Noon Hemp Show with a man named Beach, who owns 4 Temptations shops in the Cincinnati area. Big proponent of industrial hemp. He's been talking about it for 25 years. And that's a lot of fun. And I've done some other things with some other people. This is really my big first foray into a co-show, whatever it is going to be. I describe it as an experience on the OnlyFans page. So I think that's what I want it to be. I think that's what it will be. And I hope that people will join us on that ride. And I know Shelley feels the same.
Absolutely. And speaking of experiences, there may be some people watching that they don't know who the hell I am. They're from your fan base, you know, and things like that. And I thought, what would be the best way for me to display who I am, what I'm all about, in a very simple way? Are you ready for this, Stoner Jesus? Are you ready for me to give you that experience? What
I'm
I
ready
feel
for everything and anything.
All right. This, I feel, is an accurate explanation of who I am. All right, here we go. Don't ask for nudes, but no bra. See? Don't ask for nudes. I'm down for a fun, sexy time, but
absolutely,
don't ask for nudes.
Right. Don't ask Shelley for nudes.
That's who I am in a nutshell.
Myself, you know, if the price is right, I'll whip my boobs out. I don't care. I'm
no
that
judgment.
kind of guy. That's right.
No judgment. No judgment.
I'm gonna tip the OnlyFans.
You know, that's why there's that OnlyFans out there. You get your OnlyFans money there, Stoner Jesus, because there's people that'll pay pretty penny for the nips.
That's what I hear. I haven't encountered it any for as far as, you know, want to pay for mine, but you know, it is what it is.
Again, I feel like you're marketing it wrong. You're marketing yourself all wrong. There's an audience for you.
I'm sure I am. It's kind of my thing. You were on my show, the Stoner Jesus Show, not too long ago. A very popular episode. People loved it. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, but we didn't get around to, you kind of alluded to it at one point, and I wanted to circle back to it, but we were talking about so much other stuff, was we talked about your time in ECW, but we never really got into your time in the WWE. back in the day. So if you wouldn't mind talking about that a little bit, how did you get the opportunity to be in the WWE in the first place?
Well, when it was ECW, it was when WWE brought it back.
Mhm.
So it was WWE ECW. And a lot of times people from the original ECW, they call it the fake ECW. I call it the fake ECW too because it is the fake ECW, but I am so grateful for it because if it wasn't for the first ECW, I wouldn't have been able to play that character when they sold out and had Vince McMahon do it for them, you know? And that was the big gripe that some people had with it. Oh, you know, whatever. But it's like, dude, what are you going to do? And what I thought was cool is they brought back a lot of the original people. And it's like, these are people who haven't worked on TV for so many years, that have had so many struggles in life because they're like now, with all due respect, a has-been. I call myself a has-been, and it's not derogatory at all. Like when people go, "Oh, don't say that," it's like, no, but like some people aren't even a has-been, and that's fine. Like it's not a bad thing. It's like I don't do that anymore, and a lot of the audience that watches it now, they don't know who I am. So yeah, I'm a has-been, and I'm fine with it, you know. But these people in ECW, the original, a lot of them became those has-beens and stuff, but there was still that fan base, you know. So I thought it was really cool that even though they sold out, it gave an opportunity for people to have jobs again, you know,
Yeah.
get back into it a little bit. And now because of that, they're able to make money now, even though they're not on, you know, WWE and haven't been in ECW in a long time. But it's like that kind of brought a new audience and people who didn't know about them. So now they're able, like before the corona, like go on conventions and different shows, and people are like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh wow. So I really feel it was really awesome to be a part of that revamp of that, because I watched that happen. It wasn't just you know, another new promotion popping up. I watched these people who busted their ass back in the day, and they kind of deserve that like send off, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. For the bigger audience.
Yeah.
So, how did you start in WWE itself? And I take it that that kind of went south at some point. What were the events that led up to that?
So long story short as I can make it, you know, I did the independent scene for about 5 years, and I had gotten like I had seen an agent here and there when they came like to our wrestling school, but that was always like the owner of the wrestling school is very in control of all that, right?
Mhm.
So back in the day, I was a West Coast Choppers model for Jesse James, the car. He says he's a glorified welder, but you know, not car, but bike motorcycle builder, custom choppers and all that, West Coast Choppers. And one day I was hanging out with Jesse, and he was just like, so, because you know, at that point I had been in wrestling, like I said, for 5 years. There was a time in that 5 years, there was about, I think, that 5 years, I did strictly just the lucha libre, which is the Mexican style kind of wrestling,
Mhm.
and which is a whole other entity of itself, like a whole other brand. And he was just like, why aren't you in WWF? It was at F at the time. I said, well, I really don't know how. Well, unbeknownst to me, he had built some motorcycles for the Undertaker. So I don't know what went down. I just know that he said, wait for a phone call. And I was like, yeah, right. And so shortly after that, I got a phone call from the guy in charge. And it was really interesting because in my 5 years of wrestling, there was this one school in particular. I won't say names and keep it classy, but there was this school that was the MV here on the West Coast at that time because WWF would use them a lot, use their guys when they needed people and girls. A lot of people were getting signed to developmental contracts out of there. So it was kind of like the envy to be there. So when I left my first wrestling school, because long story short as I can make it, the owner took advantage of me, and it was the thing. It was weird. It's not to be a buzzkill, but so I left. And so when I went to this other school, the guy was talking to me, and he told me, you know, if we like your look, we think you'll probably get hired one day. we want to sign you to our school, but when you train here, you can't train anywhere else and you can't work any other shows. Well, prior to that, I was always taught, if you're not wrestling other people from other like wrestling schools or other states, you're not going to learn, because you're going to be wrestling the same people over and over, and you can kind of get comfortable with it because it's too comfortable. So it's like with wrestling, people don't realize, even though, yeah, it's predetermined, there's a lot of improv that does go into it, and you never know what can happen. Somebody can accidentally get hurt in the middle of the ring, whatever. So that's how you learn how to like improv, is you got to play with others, right? So when I said that, he didn't like that. So right then I was like on his list. So the impression everyone here in SoCal had was, if you're not in with him, you're not going to make it, right? So here I am, like, great, like, great. But it's true, like, it's true. So why are you mad at me, dude? Why are you mad, bro? So when I got that call after Jesse put in a word for me, the first thing the guy said was, hey, are you affiliated with this guy? And I was like, oh, here we go. It's not going to happen. And I said, no, I'm not. He said, good, we can have this conversation. And I was like, whoa, I thought he was the guy. So I thought it was really interesting that my way in was totally by knowing someone that could put in a good word, because I was already doing it, you know. But then I got to hear that little gossip of, oh, is that right? Oh, is that right? And I'll never forget that. And I feel that, not to get all whatever, but when that happened and I thought, dude, that's it for me. Like, this guy doesn't like me, I'm out. It really affected my spirit, and it really made me feel very insecure. And I think that kind of trickled down into other aspects of my life. So when I got that phone call, it's like a part of me was given back. And it was really cool, because it's like, you know, and to this day, that guy, I've run into him, and I've confronted him about other things, but I've never told him that conversation, because it's like, why bother? I don't need to. It's like, dude. So that's how it started. And then, you know, went to Kentucky after I got signed, because that's where their developmental school was. And after being there for about a year and a half, that's when I got to ECW and got to be on TV. And for about a year, I was on the road, and it was awesome. Like, it was what I signed up for at first, in the sense of, I loved hearing these stories that people had, that like, oh, we were on the road and this happened and that happened. Like, I loved it. I was like, dude, that is so cool. It's like not just about performing. It's more about what all goes on into it. And I loved that. I loved it. So I really got to experience that, and it was really, really cool. But with the good, there's always bad. And much like with that promoter that I thought I killed my career early on, I would speak up. I'm sorry. I grew up in a place where I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do for a living. If you're going to disrespect me, I'm going to stick up for myself. So I developed this kind of reputation that, oh, you know, she doesn't fall in line. Oh, you know, she's a troublemaker. Oh, you know, this and this. And it's like, okay. So the last straw was, I got into it with one of their top talent. And I knew it. I knew the time was coming, because we had been butting heads for quite some time. And I knew that the night that I knew it was over, it's so funny. Ozzy Osbourne was performing, because they have musical guests, you know? And it was so cool, because his dressing room was right next to the girls' locker room. And I was the only one in the girls' locker room. And I don't know how it started, but I started talking to somebody on the other side of the wall. And I kept saying, like, oh, I wish I had a donut. He's like, we got donuts. I was like, shut up. And I was like, that's so weird. He's like, come on over. And so I'm like, oh. And I remember my friend Ashley Massaro, who's passed away, RIP. she walked in, she's like, Shelly, you're going to get in trouble. You're not supposed to. I was like, because I didn't realize who was next door, I just was talking. I was talking to the walls.